Hi, and welcome to Cayce's Cabinet of Curiosities. I'm Cayce, and on this channel we talk about art, literature, history, religion, and anything else that makes me curious. Today, we are setting out to answer both a highly relevant and a highly controversial question. Can you separate the art from the artist? In other words, can you consume media made by objectively terrible people? In this video, we're going to use Woody Allen as a case study. We're also going to briefly mention other artists who have experienced a fall from grace due to their own bad behavior. This is a topic that I am so excited to get into because I've asked myself this so many times over the past decade as I've tried to consume art in a world where artists are just terrible people for some reason. So I'm excited to go on this journey with you and come to my conclusions and then see what conclusions you come up with along the way. And I'm excited to, again, marketplace of ideas. I love it. There's not always one right answer, but I love to present evidence, see what I come up with, and then see what others come up with as well. So before we jump in, housekeeping things. Hello to any older subscribers. I'm glad you're here again. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy this. And a welcome to anyone who's tuning in for the first time. I hope you enjoy it as well. I hope you enjoy my little corner of the internet that I'm building for myself. So grab your coffee. Today I've got Cafe Bustelo with butter pecan creamer, which sounds disgusting, but it is actually so good. Obsessed. This is cup number 2, I think, of the day, if I'm not mistaken. So grab your drink, grab your knitting, your baking, your whatever you're doing while you listen to this. Let's talk about this freak, shall we? Well, actually, stop the press, roll the tapes back. Before we talk about Mr. Woody I Love My Stepdaughter Allen, I want to gauge your feelings about something. A temperature check. I want to ask you a question. See this picture. What does this picture make you feel? Happy? Comforted? Cathartic? Or maybe uncomfortable? Overwhelmed? I'll give you a minute to look over it and assess how you're feeling. Okay, do you have your answer? Do you know how you feel about it? Good. Does the painting elicit any different feelings if I tell you that the painter was Adolf Hitler? Whatever that feeling was, sit with it. Remember that as we go through the rest of this video. We'll come back to that, but for now, let's talk about who the fuck Woody Allen is, in case you're luckier than me and you don't know. Woody Allen, real name Alan Stewart Koenigsberg, was born on November 30th, 1935. So, too long ago to still be acting like a fool, but I digress. Allen started his career at 15 years old writing jokes for a local paper which earned him roughly $200 a week. A few years later, he went to talk shows, but he felt like he was wasting his jokes, so then he moved to stand-up. Pause. I'm sorry. Can you imagine this man doing stand-up? Look at this dude. All he would have to do is stand up, and that's goofy enough to make me laugh. Thank you. Apparently, he was so afraid of the audience when he started doing stand-up that he would actually cover his ears while he was on the stage, which I fully believe that, yeah. Oh, hold on, sorry. Hello? Yeah, this is she. Really? They're gonna love this, thank you. Alright, bye. You guys aren't gonna believe this. That was the Department of Crimes Against Humanity calling to tell me that they actually have a clip of Woody's stand-up from 1963. Roll the tape.
I was actually on television around 3 weeks ago now, and I mentioned that I was married, or I had been married, and that I had had a bad marriage, is what I mentioned. I mentioned that I married one of the few white Muslims in New York, actually, and too young, and I wanted to elaborate on it. I had a bad marriage, and it was partially my fault. For the first year of marriage, I would say, I had what you would call a bad basic attitude toward my wife. I tended...
Okay, listen. I'm not a huge stand-up fan to begin with, and I'll be upfront about that. But who let this man on the stage? That was terrible. That wasn't funny. That wasn't a joke. That wasn't funny. And also, what is he doing with his mouth? That is the most irritating shit. It's not time to be mean yet, though. There is plenty of time for that. Don't worry. After doing stand-up for a few years, Warren Beatty asked Woody Allen to write the script for his new film, What's New, Pussycat, and offered him a small role in the film. Woody Allen agreed, but once he started working on this project, he was such a diva about it that he made Warren Beatty quit his own project. From that point on, Woody Allen realized that if he wanted to be a part of filmmaking, he had to have complete control of it. He could not be under anybody else or take any other direction. And this was pretty much all she wrote. Woody Allen has been directing movies ever since. And he's got a pretty diverse catalog, both in the types of movies that he makes and in just the amount of movies that he's pushed out. He's made so many movies. He's had mixed reception on a lot of his films, and the most popular of his films, and the most well-received, are Annie Hall, 1977, and Manhattan, 1979. But the list goes on. To name a few, we have Midnight in Paris, Blue Jasmine, Another Woman, September, Hannah and Her Sisters, Interiors, A Stardust Memory, A Midsummer Night's Sex Comedy, Crimes and Misdemeanors, Alice, Bullets Over Broadway, Cafe Society, and Magic in the Moonlight, and more, and more, and more. We'll go through some of these soon. Be patient, young grasshopper. Woody Allen is known for the comedic, self-deprecating, neurotic signature that the vast majority of his movies have. They're usually pretty lighthearted, even the dramas aren't super emotionally taxing. And I will say, if he feels like it, he can make a pretty movie, but his movies are so hit and miss. Sometimes he just doesn't, and that's it. There's no reason for it. But if you look at the list of his movies, he pushes movies out so quickly, especially in the 70s through the 90s. I don't know how they could possibly be good quality with the amount of movies that he pushed out. But anyway, Woody Allen's movies aren't the only thing he's known for. He is no stranger to controversy. Woody Allen had 2 marriages, both low profile and short-lived, before becoming a household name. Then he entered into a high-profile relationship with Mia Farrow, known for starring in Rosemary's Baby and also every Woody Allen movie ever for like a decade straight. She walked so that Helena Bonham Carter and Sherry Moon Zombie could run, okay? Also, did not know this, Mia Farrow has 14 kids. Only 4 of them are biological and then the rest are adopted. One of these adopted children is Soon-Yi Previn, who she adopted with ex-husband or partner, I don't remember, Andre Previn. Once they split up and she got with Woody Allen, let me say this. Soon-Yi Previn was born in 1970, okay? 1970. Andre Previn and Mia Farrow split up. Mia Farrow met Woody Allen in 1980 and began a relationship with him when Soon-Yi was 10 years old. Okay? Okay. Let's remember that. Because Mia Farrow and Woody Allen had a relationship that lasted for 12 years, from 1980 to 1992. Until Mia Farrow found out that Woody Allen was sleeping with his now 22-year-old stepdaughter, Soon-Yi, when he was 57. I'm gonna be sick. It was 8 months after this that Mia Farrow brought allegations of sexual assault of their daughter Dylan against Woody. In her words, quote, "He was giving Dylan too much attention and failing to give her breathing room. Allen had allegedly read to Dylan while in his underwear, allowed her to suck his thumb, would sit on her bed in the morning waiting for her to wake up. On one occasion, Dylan allegedly locked herself in the bathroom for 4 hours when Allen arrived. He had an employee pick the lock with a coat hanger." So I'm not going to get into the gritty details of that situation because there's really no need, but you get the idea. And it's also important to know that no charges ended up being pressed against Woody Allen for this, although both Mia and Dylan still stand behind their allegations to this day. Now, this is where it gets a little bit hairy because we don't have proof that he sexually assaulted Dylan. Even if we feel like we know in the pits of our stomachs that he did, the legal system never took action. Which doesn't say much, but that's for a different video. But point blank period, we just don't know. We don't have any evidence or any proof. What we do know is that Woody Allen met a young girl at 10 years old, probably helped to raise her in some capacity for 12 years, and then cheated on his adult partner with her. Woody Allen is now 90 years old, and his wife Soon-Yi is around 50. Let me say this. People use the defense that they've been married for so long, as if that negates the harm that he's caused. Please see this Reddit post. "There is no need to separate Woody Allen's conduct from his art. Woody Allen was cleared of any wrongdoing in the accusations made concerning his daughter following a lengthy investigation. And while courting his stepdaughter is weird, they remain together and deeply devoted to each other. He is nothing like Bill Cosby or Roman Polanski for that matter. That said, no, I don't watch his films because I think they suck." Okay, first of all, that ending was kind of funny. But second of all, raise your hand if you know what grooming is. Someone raise your hand and tell the class what grooming is. Let's get on the same page. Even if we don't have proof that Woody Allen assaulted Dylan Farrow, we have proof that he was sleeping with a 22-year-old at almost 60 years old after he'd known her since she was 10. That's a predator. But maybe that's not enough evidence for you. Is that not enough evidence for you? Fine. How about this? Woody Allen also had a pretty high-profile neighbor when he lived in New York, and he happened to be pretty close with this neighbor. They sent quite a few emails back and forth, all that good stuff. And if you'll see here, this is actually a picture of him and his neighbor out for a nice stroll. Isn't that sweet? And if you don't believe me, you can check whitehouse.gov. They might have his name redacted, but it'll be there, right? So anyways, if you don't think Woody Allen is a predator at this point, first of all, call every woman you know and let them know that. Also, every person under 18. Actually, don't call them. Don't talk to them. Please, don't talk to them. Just call the women. And also hop off of this video because you're just wrong. I'm sorry, you're wrong. And I'm not going to sit here and argue if Woody Allen is a predator. I'm going to argue if we can watch his movies knowing that he is. We already know he's a predator. The question, though, is, does it matter? Can I still watch a Woody Allen movie? Do I want to still watch a Woody Allen movie? And to start on our answer, we're going to take a look at a selection of his movies. So, girls, gays, and days, grab your popcorn, because it's movie time. Okay, so I struggled to decide how I wanted to go about this in the most effective way without having to watch all of Woody Allen's movies because there are so many. What I decided on, I pulled a list of all of Woody Allen's movies in chronological order, and then I divided them by decade, and I picked a few random movies for each decade. There were a few that I picked, Blue Jasmine and Midnight in Paris, because I wanted to rewatch those, because those were ones that I had liked previously. So those I knew about. The rest I didn't know about, because I figured that way it would give me an unbiased look if I wasn't picking and choosing movies. I just picked them randomly to see what came up. So also, let me just go ahead and say, I hope you all enjoy this. You better enjoy this, because Woody Allen is in my nightmares right now. I have seen so many Woody Allen movies this weekend. I am tired, okay? But let's get into it. Movie number 1 that I picked was from 1972, so about a few years after his directorial debut. It's called Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Sex But Were Afraid to Ask. Now, first of all, this movie is kind of misleading because it says that it's based on a book by the same title. Now, this book was written by an MD, and it's like a sex education book, like the anatomy of reproductive organs, how to use them, how reproduction works, how to prevent diseases, how to make it pleasurable. Like, it's very clinical, and it's medical, and it's like a helpful text, okay? That is not what Woody Allen made here. Woody Allen made an anthology of 7 short stories talking about sex and different sexual situations. Which, again, not a bad concept. I don't mind that. Did not love the execution. Let's go through it. Story number 1 is Woody Allen playing a jester who wants to sleep with the queen. So he goes to visit the local wizard or whatever and gets a potion to make this queen want to sleep with him. And when she does, she takes all her clothes off, but he can't get the chastity belt that the king forces her to wear off. In his struggle to remove it, the king wakes up, walks into the room, catches the jester, takes his head off. Cool, great, hilarious, incredible, innovative, whatever. Story number 2. Woody Allen's not in this one, so that's good. We like to see that. Gene Wilder is, which is disappointing, but he does do a better job than Woody Allen. So a man comes into a doctor's office. The doctor is played by Gene Wilder, and this man says, "I'm in love with a sheep. Can you help?" He says, "I'm in love with a sheep, but the sheep has fallen out of love with me. Can you help by getting the sheep to fall back in love with me?" And Gene Wilder tries to help, but instead he falls in love with the sheep. And then he gets caught in a hotel room with the sheep, and the judge arrests him because, I quote, "the sheep is under 18. Hilarious. Story 3. Woody Allen is freshly married and can't get the person that he cast, that just happens to be a Mia Farrow lookalike, to finish, right? So he tries everything until he realizes that she likes to do it in public. So they start doing it in public, everywhere. By the end of the movie, they do it under a table at a restaurant, and this woman literally bites just a passerby's leg. This is a comedy, right? And let me just say, the first 3 stories, that princess getting basically drugged, not consent. A sheep, can't consent. Also, maybe a hot topic, I don't care. Voyeurism, not consent. Told you it was a hot topic. What did I say? So, I don't know. Again, this is supposed to be a comedy, and it's just not funny to me. So, story 4, it's honestly just... The title of story 4 is Are Transvestites Homosexuals? I don't feel like I have to tell you much. Story 5 is like set up in a game show where they're all having to guess. It's called What's Your Perversion? And like some people have foot fetishes, some people are pedophiles, some people are chronic masturbators. That's the whole joke. Haha. Story 6. Absolutely no doubt about it, the most upsetting one, okay? A couple, Woody Allen plays the man, goes to visit a doctor who has made great strides in the field of sex, okay? They're excited to have dinner with him, but they soon realize that he's actually a mad scientist who's conducting experiments and has, like, victims in his lab. Like, he's got one woman that he's drugged and, like, injected silicone into her for a year to make her boobs bigger, and he's, like, working on giving a lesbian a lobotomy, like, just all kinds of really depraved stuff. And then he looks at this woman that Woody Allen is with and says, "You're my next experiment." And the experiment is, he opens this door, and behind this door are just a gaggle of 12-year-old Boy Scouts, and this doctor says, "You're gonna get by these Boy Scouts." Hilarious. Keep in mind, this is a comedy. This was marketed as a comedy. Gang by Boy Scouts. And the thing is that, like, after that, they escape the lab, and there's this whole, like, some mutant boob escapes from the lab and starts terrorizing the city, like, Blob style. And that's the plot of the story. But how am I supposed to focus on that after you just made not just sexual assault, but, like, okay, sexual assault of a woman plus 12-year-old boys in the same skit as a funny punchline. And it's not even the plot of the story. Like, it was just for fun. And then story 7, honestly, it's got Burt Reynolds in it, which is disappointing. It's just about sex, similar. Someone's trying to hook up with someone. Woody Allen plays a sperm cell. He's got Barry B. Benson vibes in this one. I mean, it's whatever. It's fine. The movie, I wouldn't watch it again, and it was really fucking creepy. I wouldn't have watched it again even if it wasn't a Woody Allen movie. But it being Woody Allen, all of the lack of consent and the underage people make me a little uncomfortable, right? But maybe that's just a fluke, you know. It was the 70s, different time. So then I moved to Annie Hall, which couldn't possibly be the same because it was so popular. I mean, it was such a popular movie. How could it possibly be as grotesque? If you don't know, Annie Hall also stars Woody Allen as a self-insert. And he broke up with his girlfriend, Annie Hall, and now he's going back through his entire life to try to figure out what went wrong in this relationship. Very original. Never seen that before. So, as he's doing that, he goes back to his childhood, and we get blessed with this scene.
I remember the staff at our public school, you know, we had a saying that those who can't do, teach, and those who can't teach, teach Jim. And, of course, those who couldn't do anything, I think, were assigned to our school. I must say, I always thought my schoolmates were idiots. Melvin Greenglass, you know, his fat little face, and Henrietta Farrell, just Miss Perfect all the time, and Ivan Ackerman, always the wrong answer, always.
7 and 3 is 9.
Even then, I knew they were just jerks. In 1942, I had already discovered women.
That's the second time this month. Step up here.
What did I do?
Step up here.
What did I do?
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Why? I was just expressing a healthy sexual curiosity.
6-year-old boys don't have girls on their minds.
I did.
For God's sake, Abby, even Freud speaks of a latency period.
Well, I never had a latency period. I can't help it.
Why couldn't you have been more like Donald? Now there was a model boy.
Tell the folks where you are today, Donald. I run a profitable dress company.
Boy, sometimes I wonder where my classmates are today.
I'm president of the Pincus Plumbing Company. I sell taluses. I used to be a heroin addict. Now I'm a methadone addict. I'm into leather.
Awesome. That was funny. That was funny. I think it's so funny when grown men make 6-year-old girls say shit like that. That's one of the funniest things in movies, honestly. That's my favorite thing ever. So, moving on to 1979, we have Manhattan, which again is just Woody Allen playing a self-insert character named Isaac. Isaac is Isaac is a 42-year-old man dating a 17-year-old girl. And that is the plot of the movie. I swear to God. Until he meets Diane Keaton and falls in love with her. So he leaves his high school girlfriend to get with Diane Keaton. But Diane Keaton leaves him, so then he goes to beg for his high school girlfriend back. And, like, it's not portraying him as a bad guy. Like, it's not like, you know, artfully portraying this as he's the main character, but he's the antagonist. Like, no, like, we're supposed to support him through this movie. A few things, because this is where I just got fed up with it. I was trying to keep the dogs wanted. Well, the dog wanted. Hey, here. Hey, sister. I was trying to keep an objective opinion, okay? But Manhattan is where it got a little bit harder. First of all, it was so boring. It was so boring. It could have been 30 minutes and it still would have been too long because it was just conversation and it was just the same thing. Like, he just talked about how young his girlfriend was over and over and over and over again. Also, this is where I started to notice that Woody Allen is allergic to black people. He casts them occasionally, but only in minor roles. And sometimes he goes so far as to cast them in, like, the roles of, like, a mammy or something. And that's the only time, like, that's their value to him. And that's a whole different video, but, you know, when you're a piece of shit in one aspect of your life, usually you're pretty transgressive in all of them, right? So, another thing Woody Allen, I started to notice it with this movie, Woody Allen is allergic to endings. His movies just cut off. Like, they go to a credit, and there's no resolution. And I understand that that can be done artfully. It's not with him, though. It's just a cop-out, because he can't make a movie that's not, I mean, he's just, his movies, and it became clear with this one, the movies that he's in, at least, he is a self-insert character, and he is just writing his Wattpad fan fiction that this 17-year-old girl likes him, and also Diane Keaton likes him. He's YN. Like, that's what his movies are. Go watch them for yourself. See, they're all on Tubi, if you really want to. I'm not selling them, I know, but if you really want to watch Woody Allen movies, for some reason, they are all on Tubi. So that was cool, I didn't have to pay for them. That was helpful. So, the next movie, and I'll be honest with you, okay, well, the next movie is from 1980, and it was called Stardust Memories. It is the exact same movie as Manhattan, except he's not dating a 17-year-old this time. So, it's the exact same movie as Manhattan, except it's PG. It was so boring. It was Woody Allen playing a self-insert character, talking about his life, talking about the, talking about Nazis a lot, which I know he's Jewish, but, like, he talks about Nazis a lot. Because again, his movies are just him. They're just him writing in a journal and making movies out of them. Every character he plays is just him being himself. So, I didn't even finish this movie because it was so, there was nothing notable about it. There was just nothing about it at all. Honestly, we're just gonna quickly pass over the rest of the 80s because there's nothing new to see. It's either Woody Allen making another movie about himself or Woody Allen putting Mia Farrow in a really degrading role. Or both. Sometimes Mia Farrow gets to star, not always, sometimes, but it's never a flattering role. She's either like suicidal or she's like easy, you know, all of these tropes about women that Woody Allen has. And all of his leading ladies are like that. Go back and watch your favorite Woody Allen movie. Notice how he talks to his partners in all of them. Even in the most popular ones, like Annie Hall, all he does is talk down to Diane Keaton. He just tells them how dumb they are throughout the entire movie. So even if they're not minors, he likes to treat them like they're just idiots. That's how he views women. And that's not great. They just exist in his movies as a prop to him, right? Even if they get to lead, they're just a prop to him or to whatever man he has as his insert character in every movie ever. At the end of the 80s, at 1989, we get a movie called Another Woman. Honestly, it's kind of an enjoyable watch. Basically, a professor has a midlife crisis and starts to realize that all of her decisions in life have been made only by her brain and not by her heart. So she's working on a book and she rents an apartment so she can focus, and the apartment is neighbored by a therapist's office and she can overhear the therapy sessions. So she starts to overhear sessions with a patient who's played by Mia Farrow. And these sessions kind of parallel how she's feeling in her own life, her own desires, her own fears, her own existentialism. And they turn her on a path of retrospection and looking over her entire life up to this point, which is a groundbreaking concept for Woody Allen. Let me tell you, I've never seen him do this in a movie before. She discovers that her husband is cheating on her and then leaves him. But she's inspired by another former lover to find the passion within herself. It's not a creepy movie. It's really not a bad movie, at least relative to the rest of his movies. Woody Allen has done this concept so many times, but I think that it was actually almost well executed this time. If Woody Allen hadn't made this, I would have probably liked it. That being said, it is worth noting, again, that this movie highlights a theme that runs through most, if not all, of his movies. The woman in this movie lives her life by the rules of the men around her. She is a shell, and men have to kind of guide her through life. No woman gets to stand alone in a Woody Allen movie. She has to be propped up by her relationship with the leading man, who oftentimes is Woody Allen. If you were wondering, so just to make this clear, Woody Allen writes in these relationships with these women like Meryl Streep, Diane Keaton, whoever, all of these attractive women, and then when they kiss, he always uses tongue. And it's like obvious, and that's a choice. And if you watch, some of those women, they just look uncomfortable, and they're not supposed to. They're supposed to think he's sexy, and they don't. Go watch don't. But if you want to, go watch Manhattan and you'll see what I'm talking about. Or Annie Hall. Or Stardust Memories. Nobody wants to kiss this dude. But whatever. So the 90s are so full of nothing, again, that it's just making me mad. Every single movie is another one of Woody Allen's journal entries. Dear Diary, I'm a great writer. Everyone else is dumb. I'm gonna go suck my own dick again. That's it. That's the 90s. Every main character is a comic or a writer or a film director. Same thing again and again and again. But he does, at this point, at least tone down the creepy shit. One can't help but wonder if this is because it's a different era, it's not the 70s, he's turning over a new leaf, or if it's because by the 90s he's in a public relationship with Soon-Yi Previn. So he's not as repressed anymore. I wonder if it's because he's not having to get those fantasies out through film, right? Because he's actually got a real life victim now. Something to think about. I don't know, but it is something to think about. The 2000s, I know you're not going to believe this. They are about the same. Nothing new. And anything that is new is pretty mild. Something to watch because there's nothing else on TV and you have nothing else to do. But probably not something that sticks in your memory forever. His movies, to me, have either been memorable because they're so creepy or completely forgettable. And that's not great if you're a director for a living. Like, that's why he's a millionaire. It's mind-blowing. By 2010, we do get a few decent movies. One from 2011 is Midnight in Paris, which follows Owen Wilson and his fiancée as they travel to Paris. While there, he time travels back to the Roaring 20s. He has a crazy adventure, falls in love, and decides he wants to stay in Paris forever. This is great, not a bad concept, pretty filmography, but once again, Woody Allen doesn't like women, and so he inserts a totally unnecessary, like, rude, hateful, ball and chain type of character played by Rachel McAdams. So that Owen Wilson can cheat on her, break up with her, and then make it her fault because she's not, submissive and nice and stupid, right? She has her own mind and she has her own interests, and so she's dumb. And I don't know. It's subtle, but it's there. This isn't a problem that only Woody Allen has, where he just makes women props, but he does have it, and it's difficult to get through some of his movies because the women in them are just simply so unrealistic. Like, that real women don't act like that. Another example of this is in 2013 we get Blue Jasmine, which is based off of Tennessee Williams' incredible Streetcar Named Desire. A few things here. Well, first of all, I guess the synopsis, okay? Jasmine, who's played by Cate Blanchett, was once rich, but she was fallen from grace after her husband, Alec Baldwin, great, was caught committing severe fraud. She lost her husband, her family, and every cent she had. So desperate, she goes to live with her poor, aka like comfortably middle class, sister, Ginger. Jasmine, bless her heart, all of this trauma has kind of caused her to lose her marbles a little bit, reminiscent of Vivien Leigh in the original Streetcar. And Marlon Brando. There is no Marlon Brando in this movie. Thumbs down. So she's started to kind of lose her marbles because of the stress, and it just gets worse as time goes on. The rest of the movie is just about Ginger having a really complicated love life and Jasmine losing her mind until finally she gets a rich boyfriend. Things look like they're going to turn up until he finds out that she's lying about her entire past, so he leaves her, and that means that her part of the movie is over, her life has ended. Ginger, however, gets back with her boyfriend. They live happily ever after because he tells them that they should. He tells her that they should. And so her life is good, her life is back on track. It's all good. The women listen to the men, and the one who lost the man had a bad ending, and the one who kept the man had a good ending. Simple as that. A few notes in this movie. I did actually try something different on this movie, which was the Bechdel test. If you aren't aware, the Bechdel test looks at whether or not when two women are having conversations in a movie, can they have a conversation? Can they be written to have a conversation without turning it back to be about a man? The reason I picked this movie to test that on was because it was about two sisters, and so there was more woman and woman dialogue. Hour-and-a-half long movie, 2 conversations, each of them not even 30 seconds, when they didn't bring up a man. So, interesting. I've never tried that before, but Woody Allen failed, okay? I know that much. Also, there's one scene that's completely unnecessary where Jasmine gets sexually assaulted, and she has to fight, it gets physical, and it lasts for a good minute, and it contributes nothing to the plot. In fact, it actively takes away from the plot. It's a scene at Jasmine's workplace. She gets a job at a dentist's office, and this dentist assaults her, and so she quits. Jasmine is known for being inconsistent, having no follow-through, having breakdowns. It would have made so much more sense if she had had a breakdown and gotten fired. That sexual assault scene, it just had no reason to be there. Plus the fact it happens and then we never hear about it again. Because that's how we handle sexual assault, right? That's how we portray it in movies. Because that's how it happens. People get sexually assaulted and then it's no big deal, and then they go find a boyfriend the next week and it's fine. Right? Or maybe, is that just what you think happens after sexual assault, whenever you're the assaulter, and that's how you sleep at night? Maybe. All I do know is that I don't want to talk about Woody Allen movies anymore, okay? That's enough. I think I've given you enough. We've gone through the decades. We're at 2013. Nothing past that is worth watching. Now he's a creep and he's senile. Come on now. Maybe Cafe Society. I don't want to look at Blake Lively. Anyway, I'm surprised she didn't sue him. But anyways. So, we've talked about the artist, and we've talked about his art. So now we're going to talk about what I've learned from it. This is where we start getting into my opinions and the arguments that I've been having with myself about this, as well as the conclusion that I have come to. If you feel differently, let me know. This is a complicated topic and there is so much nuance, and I want to hear what other people are bringing to the table and how they feel about the information that I've presented. I'm curious. So here's what's become glaringly obvious to me. The question eventually stopped being, can you separate the art from the artist? And started being, can the artist separate themselves from the art? Can I watch a Woody Allen movie without being inundated by Woody Allen's creepiness? Unfortunately, the answer to this is no. He rubs it in your face. He wants you to know that he's a creep. He can't separate the art from himself. And this isn't a one-off, right? Has anyone tried to watch Victorious lately? Or iCarly? After knowing what we know about Dan Schneider, it's impossible to watch anything that he's created because it's so obvious that it's just his own sick world that he's creating. And this helps me to answer at least a piece of the question. There are some things that I just don't want to watch because the artist is so creepy and they aren't ashamed of it. I can't be responsible for separating the art from the artist when the artist has intentionally made those two things inextricable. This is where I've ended up settling on Woody Allen movies specifically. His movies, like Dan Schneider's show, just don't feel worth sitting through. Because they aren't creativity, they're just perverse imaginations from his own twisted mind. They're not good. I'm sorry, but to me, as far as I'm concerned, I didn't enjoy them, really. Like, it's been a long time since I was sitting there just counting the minutes till a movie was over. And with Manhattan, I mean, I was just ready for it to be over. And it's not even a long movie, it's like an hour and a half. But maybe you don't feel the same way. Maybe Midnight in Paris is one of your favorites. Or maybe Annie Hall. Or maybe iCarly is really nostalgic for you. Why should you be punished because the artist can't create art separate from his own sick thoughts? Why should you be forced not to consume that media if it isn't your fault? So then we come to another argument, right? One that you hear consistently, which is that if you continue to consume what these predators have created, then you are helping them financially. There's no way around that. If you buy a DVD, if you stream it, whatever, Woody Allen, even from Tubi, probably got a few royalties from me this weekend. And this is a fair point. I understand this point, and this is my struggle point, because even if ethically I say, well, they're not separating it, so why should I separate it, that doesn't stop me from paying them. However, it gets tough because I am a believer that there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, right? And I, as the person who is, if I go to a movie and I'm paying $10 for a ticket, I just don't feel like that's the problem. And here's why. Let me ask you this. If you were a producer in 2000, let's say 2000, okay, 8 years after it happens, and Woody Allen comes to you asking you to produce a movie for him, would you? Would you produce a movie with him or work on a movie with him? I wouldn't. But he's made dozens of highly produced movies since these allegations came out. Why? Why are they still being made? Why is it my fault that Hollywood encourages bad behavior? So many people still defend Woody Allen. There's Diane Keaton, who defended him with her dying breath, Cate Blanchett, and again, Blake Lively, which is so rich. More than that, so many people don't necessarily staunchly support Woody Allen, but they say, well, we don't really know what happened, so we can't really condemn him. You guys, though, you know. You're smart. I educated you, see? People are still working with Woody Allen, and they are still producing movies for Woody Allen, and streaming services are still streaming Woody Allen movies. But I'm supposed to be the one to lose out. They're making millions and millions and millions and millions off of Woody Allen, and I get an hour and a half of entertainment after a long workday, and I'm in the wrong. That doesn't make sense to me. Another thing that ran through my head constantly as I watched Woody Allen movies is this quote, or, the paraphrase of it, that those who do not learn history are doomed to repeat it. We can't pretend that Woody Allen wasn't a big-time director, and that he didn't make millions. And we can't pretend that none of this happened, no harm, no foul, and just erase Woody Allen. Because then, we won't know what to look for next time. And there will be a next time if we don't learn how to stop rewarding bad behavior. There have been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of next times since 1992. So here are my final thoughts. Let me know if you agree or disagree. I don't think that the art should ever be separated from the artist. In writing, you don't separate those things, right? So if you're trying to understand a piece of poetry, and if you want to learn more about this, check out this video by Rachel Oates. I love her. But anyway, if you want to learn more about poetry, or if you're reading a poem that you don't totally understand, the best way to start is by looking at the writer. Where are they from? What was their upbringing like? What are they a minority, and are they writing from that mindset? What if they're writing about a love poem? Or if they're writing a love poem, what was their relationship like? It's that context helps you to understand really esoteric poems that maybe aren't literal enough to understand otherwise. You aren't told in breaking down literature to separate the artist. You're told to consider them. Consider the source, right? And so why would I not consider the source for movies like this? It was made from a person, and that person came up with the ideas for that art in the same brain that they come up with everything else, right? So Woody Allen isn't using one half of his brain to be a director and then one half to be a predator. Those are the same brain. So I can't pretend that Woody Allen didn't produce these movies, because he did. That being said, I'm also not going to pretend the movies don't exist. One of the biggest takeaways for me, though, is that sometimes, because artists can't separate their art, losing the art of them isn't always a huge loss. Do I really miss listening to Melanie Martinez? No. Will I be sad next time I don't get to watch a Woody Allen movie? Hell no. Hell no. So, in my opinion, I think all art should be consumable. And I think that the consumers aren't to blame for bad people being put into positions of power. Sure, we pay the box office. Well, we pay the streaming company, okay. But it wouldn't have made it to the box office without an exponential amount more money than what you're paying for your ticket. Right? You're paying $20 for a movie ticket and some popcorn. Millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars were funneled to Woody Allen for that movie to get to that screen for you to spend $20 on it. Be so real. I'm not financially supporting Woody Allen. The producers, though, the actresses, the actors, they are. Just saying, for me, I will consume art with a critical lens. looking at who created it and what it meant to them, not just how I interpret it. I won't just engage with things blindly, and that's the crux of this whole thing to me. You don't have to stop watching things or reading things or listening to things, in my opinion. But you need to consume things with intention. Know what you're consuming. Don't turn on a Woody Allen movie for background noise and just give him royalties for no reason. Sit there, watch it, think critically. What do you notice? Chances are, if people had done that in the 70s, we wouldn't be stuck with this gooner now because people would have realized his movies are terrible. Just saying. And if you keep hearing me bash Woody Allen movies and it's irritating you because you like Woody Allen, I encourage you to go back and watch some of those old favorites with a critical eye. And maybe you'll still enjoy them, and that's cool, but at least you will have experienced watching it through that lens. And maybe you'll be like me and Woody Allen will just become a tulpa in your house because of all of the energy that you're expending hating him so much. And that's fine too. Let me know what you think about Woody Allen's movies and consuming them in the wake of his scandals. Because remember, the only wrong answer here is that it doesn't matter because Woody Allen is innocent. If that's your answer, restart this video and try again. Any other answer regarding the subjectivity of his movies is a right answer as long as it's right for you and you can back up why you feel the way that you do. So tell me what you think. Argue with me. I love a good argument. A good friendly argument, if you will. I love a debate. I hope that you've enjoyed this video today. I've so enjoyed making it, except for the part where I had to watch Woody Allen movies. I think we're gonna nickname him Micro Woody because he's like 2 feet tall, and also because he's got like a micro Woody. So anyway, I'm funnier than Woody Allen. Someone give me a movie deal, please. I'm not even that funny, but it's better than him. At least I'm not making jokes about 6-year-olds. God. Anyway, I had so much fun hanging out with you guys today, and if you enjoyed this, absolutely like, subscribe, leave a comment, especially leave a comment, say hey. Do whatever makes your heart happy though. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and definitely tune in next time. I have got some super exciting things coming up, possibly an interview with another YouTuber, maybe?